This is very exciting. If you listen to this show often, you know how much I love Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I'm on his show every Friday, 5 o'clock, making NFL picks. It's been a blast. It really a dream come true type shit for me. And his son, Colin Russo, does Afternoon Drive in West Palm Beach. He does it with who do you do the show with? Rizzo? Is it Rizzo's son?
Mike Rizzo.
Okay.
Mike Rizzo, who, yes, is Tony Rizzo's son, who does work at ESPN Cleveland for about 40 years.
So it's ESPN West Palm 106.3 on from 4 to 6 in the afternoon. He is Colin Russo, Christopher Mad Dog Russo's son. This is such a big thrill for me. And we're going to break down your dad's airport rant towards the end of this, because within that rant, I have a top 5 list of my favorite things that came out of that rant. But Colin, I want to start here. What was it like growing up in your household?
It was great. So my household, I'm one of 4, right? I'm
Yes.
the third. I'm the third. One of 3 boys. I'm the third over in the totem pole. I'm sort of that middle child.
Right.
My mother, God bless her, is not a huge sports fan. She gets it, but she understands to stay out of the way.
Yes.
And when it comes to watching games, my older brother likes basketball. That's really it. He likes basketball, and that's sort of his niche. And my sister and my younger brother, not sports fans. So I was sort of the one that latched onto it. And once that became apparent, then it became a problem, because every time around dinner time, Sunday nights, Saturday nights, whenever we'd be watching games, it would turn into, debates half the time, because he doesn't give anything credit for anything that happened, after 1975.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other side of that. So that's why we always go back and forth. Growing up with it was awesome, because I had somebody to talk sports with all the time, 24 hours a day. And I think that helped him too, because he needs it in some capacity. But I also didn't grow up. I was born in 2002. So I wasn't around during the WFAN days. So 08, I barely remember when he went off to Sirius and left WFAN and left Mike Francesa. So I wasn't around for that. I was more of like growing up around the Sirius and MLB Network and now First Take. But it's great because you see, everybody's talked about with him, my dad specifically, the kind of resurgences he's had, right? He's had the WFAN, that was sort of the bulk of his career. He goes over to Sirius, MLB Network happens, he has a couple moments. There's your second resurgence. Now you're appealing to a national audience. And then when First Take started happening, I remember Stephen A. had him come on, I want to say close to 2 years ago, to do Barry Bonds into the Hall of Fame. And right then and there, it got good buzz. It was a good show. And I think by the end of the day, they had him inked up to do First Take consistently. That's how that happened. It was a random day where Stephen A. needs help doing some Barry Bonds stuff, calls in a good friend that knows baseball, and Chris Russo, and then all of a sudden that First Take thing happens, and now he gets 2 hours a week where he could just do whatever the heck he wants, especially with the stupid "What Are You Mad About" segment, where he brings up everything known to man, from Dave Pash's travel schedule to my grandmother's veal parmesan on Christmas night. So, I mean, it's all over the place. Make a long story short.
Don't you dare call it stupid. You hear me? Don't you dare.
It's great.
It's the greatest segment in sports media. You hear me?
I love it. It's objectively stupid, but it's funny. That's why it's great. But that's why it's been fun to watch from my perspective, because he's never been somebody to take himself too seriously. Right. And I think that is the right way to perceive yourself and to kind of attack sports media, because I think he's easy to work with. And I think that makes it easy for him to have a career in different facets, because I do think people like working with him. And I've always noticed that, because I've sort of been doing my own little work with him whenever we're at the house watching games. So to make full circle, I went in a couple different directions there. Growing up with him was great, because you can talk about everything with him. And I also, since I'm in the business now too, I want to make my own career in this regard. It's the perfect, guy in your corner, so to speak.
You went in a million different directions because you're fucking
did.
Colin Russo. I mean, that's why. Like father, like son, man.
Yeah.
But you landed the plane. That's what your dad's great at. He'll bring it, he'll go in 19,000 different directions, but he always knows how to land the plane, So you mentioned pre-1975 is all that matters to him. The first time he referenced Otto Graham, did you have to look him up?
Yeah. So what we did, I'll give you an example of this. This is also a different direction. We do autogram sometimes, but I remember this was 2 weeks ago. I was home, and this is the type of thing that we do whenever it's just me and him. We watched and I wanted to watch it, but he, loops me in. There's a James Garfield Netflix documentary, 4-episode series, very good on Netflix, by the way, about James Garfield at the Republican National Convention in 1880, knocking off Ulysses S. Grant.
Yes.
We did that. We watched it, and then we went through Garfield's entire career after the first episode, where we were breaking down where Garfield started. Hey, where's Zachary Taylor from? Where is he from? Is he a New Hampshire guy? And so we're doing that, and we're just sitting in his office for basically 45 minutes doing presidents and where they're from, where they were raised, and how they won their respective conventions. So that's an example of the history stuff, the rabbit holes that we could dive down, because he loves that. Nobody likes that more than him.
In fact, you're right, because last Friday he gave me a homework assignment. I have to watch that entire series by this Friday and then give him a full recap of said series. I mean,
it's very good. You'll like it. It's very good, especially that first episode. But you're right. So I'm in the rabbit hole too. I got caught on it as well. There's a Revolutionary War one, a Ken Burns doc that he's going to give you as your next homework assignment. So be ready for that. 6 episodes.
Looking forward to it. Jesus.
Stugotz, I am so jealous of this household around the Thanksgiving.
But the poor mom. I mean, seriously, fucking poor mom.
She gets it. She gets it. She knows. She's used to it. She's like, leave them alone. Keep them in that office. They got a closed door. Don't talk to them for 12 hours.
But Taylor, you were saying you want to be dog's son. Is that what you're saying?
I love my father. Yeah. I would just like to have an invitation sometimes, like do a second Thanksgiving with them, do a second Christmas with them.
Yeah, you'd like it. It's because we have, and my dad's an only child. So we go to my mother's side of the family for Christmas and all that stuff. And it's an Irish family. There's a ton of kids my age, 20s, mid-20s. And it's just us and him especially holding court, doing like his, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, I pinned that, all that nonsense. And it's 6 o'clock on Christmas night, and everybody's waiting to eat dinner. And he's doing, he's quizzing my cousin, who's a lacrosse player for the Utah Archers in the PLL. He's quizzing him on the Giants' first coach when they were playing with, back in the 50s. So, I mean, that's just how it goes. And everybody kind of knows the deal.
I want to be invited as well. Can we make this happen?
We could set something up.
When did you realize your dad was a fucking legend? Like, at what point in your life did you realize, oh my God, my dad is a legend? Because he is, Colin.
Yeah, it's, when he was a radio guy, he didn't get recognized nearly as much as you'd think. I think when he got the TV opportunities, MLB Network, First Take, I know the Yes Network was involved. Sirius has, the last 10 years has really kind of blown him up in terms of facial recognition.
Sure.
But I remember we went to Citi Field and I was to go see a Met game. I can't remember who it was against, but we saw David right before the game. But I remember that specific game. I must have been 10 or 11 years old, and the amount of people that just wanted to talk to him, because it's like a classic New York sports fan. You see Chris Russo walking around, you want to get his take on something, whether it be Jets, Mets, Giants, Rangers, and that's sort of, and there must have been 7 or 8 people like immediately who just wanted to stop and say hello. And he's always good with fans, and I give him credit for that. And I think that specific game, I must have been 10 or 11 years old. I remember that one pops out because the amount of sheer people that actually recognized him.
Right.
And not only that, wanted to talk sports with him. And that's when you sort of realize that there are people that his big fans that sort of live and breathe his opinions and what he thinks about this. And they wait till 3 o'clock every day to get his take on whatever it might be. So I never really processed until I got a little older and I started seeing it at sporting events.
Have you gone back and listened to any of Mike and the Mad Dog shows?
Yeah, so there was I send him this all the time, and I was actually listening to a couple things the other day because a lot of good stuff is on YouTube. There is a famous one, not famous, but there's a little clip on YouTube of all the guys. This was when Bob Gelb was doing the show. This must have been 95. I want to say May of 95. That's when my parents got married, and they were all there's 5 guys, and they were breaking down and critiquing my dad and my mother's wedding. And it's on YouTube. I'll send to you guys it. It's very funny because Mike is loosey-goosey. You could tell tell they're in a good spot relationship-wise, and everybody is pounding the food at the wedding. And they said the food was like hospital food. It was awful. The band didn't have the instruments plugged in, and they were basically bashing each other about the wedding. And my dad's trying to fire back saying, hey, Cohen, I didn't have a brawl at my wedding, and we're going back and forth. It was one of those clips that I listened to. I listened to it probably 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And I'll send him it. He doesn't remember these conversations, but that's what, and he got a kick out of it. So I listen to as much as I can. The stuff that I really get into outside of that fun stuff, the loosey-goosey, I like to listen to the interviews because I think that's where I can learn from it. They'll have George Steinbrenner on. I remember they had a 1990 interview with him before the Yankees got good, and everybody's questioning Steinbrenner's leadership. And they did an hour with Steinbrenner, and it just goes to show how sharp Steinbrenner was because he was able to go toe-to-toe with them.
Right.
But interviews like that, I get a lot out of. And that's when they're going after managers. I remember they did a good one with Art Howe in the 2000s with the Mets. So I always listen to that because I actually learned something from it in terms of how to attack an interview. I think they're really good at it, hitting the right pressure point.
Yes.
Because they had some unfair interviews in their day, but they had a lot of great ones where not only were the managers really good at answering to the big bad New York media, which probably is not as bad as it is nowadays as it was then.
Sure.
Those are the stuff I actually learn about. And then the loosey-goosey stuff, I get a total kick out of because it's just so funny when they're in a good spot specifically.
They were better when they weren't talking sports than they were when they were talking sports. I told Chris that a million times. I've told Mike that a million times. But when you listen back, now that you're in it, you realize how difficult this is and how hard it is to create chemistry with a co-host. Do you listen back and appreciate it the way we do? Because it was magical, man. And that's as good a radio as I've ever heard, man. And I'm a radio savant.
But I do. And you start to realize it because they did, 5.5 hours? They were doing 1 to 6:30.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy the amount that they had to fill on a random July afternoon, which is why that other stuff really carried them. They're very good at, not in a bad way, dragging out a topic because 5.5 hours a day, you got to. There's not 5.5 hours of different topics that you could do quickly, like TV. In radio, you could turn this into a bit. You could do an hour on, Mike's lunch, the turkey club that he loved to have, so you could do that. And I agree. I do think it gives you a new or found appreciation for just how rare excellent chemistry is and how much of it's sort of like a relationship that you have to pay attention to, because when their relationship fires, everybody else is in a good mood because everybody else is loving it. Yeah, they were good when they were, at each other's throats.
Yes.
But they were at their best when they were on the same page relationship-wise off it. I think that has been a big underrated aspect of that success was they were stubborn in their own kind of way, in their own route. But when they were cohesive, they were at their best and they flourished because they knew how to push each other's buttons in the best ways.
Yes.
What is the take your dad has, sports or otherwise, that drives you the most insane? What is the one where he brings it up and it's just going to be a fight? We're just picking a fight here.
He's got no clue what he's talking about in terms of NBA history. He's got no clue what he's talking about.
Well, pre-75 he does. I mean,
so he has his moments. I get it.
Kuzi,
he doesn't do it. Kuzi is a good example. He doesn't do this properly because when he goes at these arguments and somebody wants to bring up Giannis Antetokounmpo and they want to talk about how great he is and this, that, and the other, and then he wants to circle around. He goes, bring up Bobby Jones's stats from the 1983 Sixer team. I'll show you a great defensive player. I'm like, dude, great player. I agree. But the point being is when we're doing this, you got to understand, and he doesn't give any credit to the current day guys. You got to understand that greatness is relative. It's how good they were comparatively to the era in which they played. And he doesn't play that in his head enough because when he's doing, 8 teams in the NBA, Kuzi, I get it. Kuzi created the point guard position, but you don't need to die on the hill that Kuzi, would kill everybody in the NBA nowadays. I had to listen to all this. He wouldn't. He was great in his era. He wouldn't today. And I like history. I give credit to where credit is due. But I think the NBA history specifically, he's good with the baseball. He's good with the football. And the basketball is, I think, where he kind of gets a little blindsided in terms of how much he gives credit to the guys from the 50s, not the 80s, not the 70s,
Sure.
the 50s.
Yes.
That he'll write home about, George Mikan dominating Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't need to hear this. You're not selling me on anything. There's nothing you can sell me on. And then he starts bringing up stats. I'm like, you want to do stats? We can do stats. I mean, this is a joke. The NBA stuff, the one to come to mind, the Kuzi one's a good example. I think whenever he does the big sports rivalries and stuff like that, and he wants to give too much credence to, like, I remember he doesn't like the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. He doesn't think Duke UNC is that big. Like, he's big about those, but the NBA history specifically is one where we can never see eye to eye. And you'll see the stats. He's like, what a player. I'm like, this is 1959. What we did this is, 15 years before the merger. What are we doing here? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
So he doesn't give credit to, like, he's telling me that Giannis would get dominated by George Mikan. He wouldn't. George Mikan was great when George Mikan played. You can't say that. It's not fair. Right. You can't say it, just like you can't say it the other way.
Yes. What he doesn't realize is they get bigger, stronger, and faster. And if you have the audacity to even suggest that Donovan Mitchell is a better basketball player than Bob Cousy, he would tear your fucking head off, That's it. That's a good example. You're allowed to say that Donovan Mitchell's not as great all time, right. But Donovan Mitchell, if you shoved them back 60 years, they'd have him out for witchcraft because of the shots he's hitting. I mean, come on. They'd be like, what is this?
Get this guy out of here. This is ridiculous. So that's something I would say is the NBA history. We don't see eye to eye. And we've watched those games. During COVID, we would watch the entire series. That's because they're all on YouTube. It's pretty cool. And I remember we did the 77 finals with the Trailblazers. We did the Seattle Supersonics years. We did that famous Celtics Sun game in 1975, the triple OT game in Game 5. We did all that stuff. So we watched it, and I saw it. So, I get it. But we're on this either page where you got to give credit to the relative to the era in which they played. That's a long-winded answer. I'm giving a long-winded answer today. Bear with me.
That's okay. You're your dad's son.
Oh, Colin, I have a few sources on the inside, and one of them told me that you're a youth basketball coach and that you've kind of wrapped yourself in some controversy when it comes to your youth basketball coaching.
So I'm glad you guys heard about this. So I'm a youth basketball 7th and 8th grade coach. Talk about, quarter life crisis. You need something to do, right? And so 7th and 8th grade boys basketball. I'm a part of a corrupt league where the president, who I know, and the vice president, who is my boss, run the league, and they were removing some of our players because our team was too good, and I drafted the team. So now all of a sudden they want to, strip us down on one leg because our team is too dominant. So that's number one. So that's a waste of time that they're even doing that.
Is this Politziner or Evan Cohen? Who's doing this?
This is Steve Politziner. So if you ever see Steve Politziner, let him know that he's running a corrupt league, and I know he is. And he thinks he's Pat Riley. He runs these practices, and he's like, throwing clipboards. This is a youth basketball league, and he's threatening to trade a kid in the middle of practice. Guys, I mean, come on, let's calm down. Jeez. So outside of that, the youth basketball is fun. It's just something I could do on a random day. I got a game tonight. But I'll give you a story with my dad specifically. He has no interest in I'm doing this. He's none. Right. And he'll come to Palm Beach around February when the playoffs are coming. And I couldn't tell you how disinterested he was when I told him. I'm like, it was the first time I saw him. He got to the Palm Beach on a Saturday morning. We had a game at Saturday at noon. I'm like, great. You can come right to the game, and you can come say hello to your son that you haven't seen in 6 months. And he goes, what time's the game over? I'm like, no. You're going to come to the game so you can come say hello to your son and watch your son do one of his pastimes and coach the team. And he shows up in a Northern Arizona garb with my brother coaches basketball in the Big Sky. And he shows up with the garb, and I don't know if you've ever seen him on his phone. He does the finger, the pointer finger and the hand like this. Yeah. And he's sitting there, and it's very close. And he was probably placing a bet in the St. Bonaventure game. Right. But he's doing this with...
he has Fat Rob do that for him.
Yeah, he's got Fat Rob, and he's not even paying attention to the game. And then after the game, he tells me the team stinks. These are, first of all, 7th and 8th grade boys that do not play basketball. And my team went winless that year. So he's telling me the team stinks, and we just got eliminated. And then he's telling me that was a waste of time. Guy, all right. how about you seeing your son and saying hello to, how's Colin doing? That's an example of that. He doesn't care about any of that. Ridiculous.
Right. But if Hondo was playing, holy shit. I mean,
right. If you had some real big time players in there, 75 years old, you'll go see them. No problem. No problem.
Go ahead, Taylor.
My other question for you is, you're a Wisconsin guy. Luke Fickell, hot seat?
Luke Fickell, definitely not hot seat because the team's broke. The school is broke. I'm not a Luke Fickell fan. After his first season, you could see that Wisconsin was in a bad spot. But the way I looked at it is, ever since NIL opened up, what is that, 2020, 2021? Wisconsin has not fielded a good team. They have not even fielded close to a competitive team. That is not a school. It seems like a rich school. It's not a rich school. It's got young money, not old money. And the old money is where you get the NIL or the billionaires. So not only is Luke Fickell's buyout, I believe, $25 million. They can't afford that. They won't afford that. And it's also a year where there's a lot of coaching jobs in college football wide open. And Wisconsin would get the 7th or 8th top guy on the market. I don't think that's necessarily the pool they want to enter themselves in. So I'm anti Luke Fickell. I would fire him tomorrow if they had the money, but they can't afford it. And it probably doesn't make sense logistically with how much competition there is in college football.
All right, we'll get to the rant here in just a second. When did you realize, at what point did you realize I want to do this for a living?
I always liked talking about sports and I always thought I could do it. Weirdly enough, I never made that much of an effort until I got to college. And when I got to college, there was a time where I called into a show. I was 18 and it was after the Jets. Mike, you should know this. The Jets played the Raiders. And this was when they were trying to go winless. And it was before they got Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. I'm a Jags fan. I wanted the Jags to get Trevor Lawrence. So therefore I'm rooting for the Jets to win. And it was one of those games where the Jets actually played competitively. I know they ended up beating the Rams, I believe, later in the year, but they played a Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, and they played a Raider team where Derek Carr had a game-winning touchdown to Henry Ruggs down the sideline. Basically, his time expired when the Jets had them dead to rights and they blitzed 8 guys. I called into his Sirius show, and I was so distraught, so upset that I did about 10 minutes, ripping apart Greg Williams, and it got picked up by that Funhouse account, and it got some publicity, and all of a sudden you start hearing people like, oh, he sounds like his dad. I don't hear it as much, but he sounds like his dad. He's got the chops for this. And right then and there, I'm like, this is fun, talking about sports and kind of just like ripping apart teams. And then I was a freshman in college. That's when I started to make an effort to like, all right, let's test this out. And I found opportunities when I was in Madison. There's an ESPN affiliate out there with Good Karma brand. So I went to ESPN Madison eventually by the end of my sophomore year. I got a job there. And then that's kind of how the ball got rolling. I'm not going to say that was the catalyst. I always thought I could do it. I always liked holding court and talking about sports. But that moment was where I think I saw some validity in the possibility because you had a bunch of people either confirming or denying. And then right then and there, I got a WFAN gig for just one show. I forgot to mention that part. Right. So that's when Craig Carton saw that.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of flack for it. What are you going to do? And Craig Carton.
Tell them to go fuck themselves. That's what you're going to do. Okay?
With me and his son, Sonny. And we did a random holiday show, 2 to 4 from WFN. And I had no broadcast experience, none. Right. And I listened back. I remember make sure I talked to all the guys at WFN who did it. And all those guys said, like, hey, getting in and out of breaks, you were very smooth. You were cohesive in your thoughts. You got everybody involved. You got your points through. And that was me without any experience. So I thought then and there, I'm like, all right, like, I think this is coming fairly naturally to me. So therefore, I got a great opportunity with the connections that I have, but I have a true passion for it. I was sort of, bred this way. Why not try it? So I think that period, it was December of 2020 was when I thought, all right, let's give this thing a rip and let's see where it takes me.
Russo and Rizzo, 4 to 6 p.m. Every afternoon, ESPN West Palm. Colin Russo is with us here. Let's get to the rant here. Actually, you know what? A quick question for a Jaguar fan. Is Trevor Lawrence good?
No. Yes. See, that's the right answer.
That's the answer.
That's the right answer. So I just gave you that. That's the right answer. So he's a little like Jameis, where, he's like the best version of what Jameis can be, but he's very polarizing back and forth.
Yes.
I think Jacksonville nailed the head coach. I think the head coach is great. I think Cohen's a really good head coach. Lawrence, you're stuck with him. So I think Lawrence makes you want to rip your head out. I think that game against Kansas City on Monday night gave everybody who doesn't watch Jacksonville the real Trevor Lawrence experience. One drive, you want to kill the guy, and the next drive, he's leading the touchdown drive against Kansas City to win the game. That's Trevor Lawrence encapsulated through and through. And like they blew a 19-point lead 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they take down the Chargers in a crucial head-to-head matchup over the weekend, 35-6, and Lawrence plays great. So he's a very strange, polarizing player. I don't love him, but you're stuck with him.
That should be the name of a podcast. No. Yes. That is sports radio.
Yeah, that's it. Best. No, yeah.
Are you familiar with the airport rants? Have you heard it?
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Oh, yes, I have. This is the one from last week. Did you guys travel during any of this? Let's do this really quick. None of you guys traveled. The last weekend was when it was really bad. Did you guys?
Yeah, I did travel. I traveled through some of it. I told your dad about this. But what I love about your dad and his rant is he's talked to all these people at the airport. Right. Really, what he's saying is he spoke to you, and you represent every single person who has gone to the airport. It's one of his go-to moves. It's fantastic. Yes.
So that's what happened. So I actually traveled as well. And I traveled coming back. I had a lot of issues, delays. Don't know where the plane is. We're switching that out. It was only about 2 or 3 hours, but it was really. So he mentions this in the rant. I'm not sure if you guys remember this part, but he mentions 2 kids trying to get back to Wisconsin to get to school. He got the story completely wrong. So I have 2 friends who I was with in New York City. I was coming back to West Palm. They were going to Chicago. I graduated in 2020. I graduated over a year and a half ago. And he was not. I told him that these 2 kids who had a nightmare getting back, New York to Chicago, they were getting LaGuardia. Their flight was at 7:30 on Sunday night, last Sunday. And they show up to the airport a little late because the flight got delayed earlier in the day by about 2 hours. They show up at around 10 o'clock for an 11:45, flight leaving. And all of a sudden they push it again. 12:30, and then the flight gets delayed all the way to 7:30 the next morning. It doesn't end up taking off a LaGuardia to O'Hare flight till 8:45 the next morning, a 13-hour delay. Brutal, stuck on the runway. They couldn't get out of it, and that was the story I told them. Here's what happened. I know you're not flying commercial, right now, so I'll tell you some boots on the ground story, and. So that's what happened with my 2 buddies. And I had issues as well. I was flying out that Monday morning to West Palm. So I had issues getting out. They had issues getting out as well. A really bad story. And then he goes on the air and tells them that these 2 poor kids are trying to get to Wisconsin to get to school. And I'm like, no. These are fully grown functioning adults trying to get to Chicago, not Wisconsin. And they were just trying to fly. And he said they took off, 18 hours later. It was 13 hours later, not 18 hours later. But you know that's how it goes. He hears one part of the story. You get an inch, you take a mile. And that's exactly what happened with that story.
His version is better. Mikey A., let's play for the audience.
All of you should be ashamed. Every single elected official on both sides of the aisle should look themselves in the mirror how they let down the American public and made us a laughingstock around the world. This is not about winners and losers, who is right and who is wrong. This is about doing something good for the American people and say, you know what? All right, they're wrong, but I got to step up here and make sure that the air traffic controllers are there with aircraft and in towers. Not saying, your turn, LaGuardia, your turn, Kennedy. Newark, it's been 40 minutes. Send a plane out that's been sitting there for 15 hours. That's not the way this works. If you're the President of the United States or you're a Republican who controls everything, you do what's right for the American person, and they didn't do that. Simple. And the Democrats, you're dead wrong, too. The both of you. You all go to hell. Every single one of you. Every elected official should be embarrassed what they caused. Embarrassed. And I have this on good authority from people who were in these airports the last 3 or 4 days, including my kid, the last 3 or 4 days. Sister-in-law. I mean, it's ridiculous what they put us through. They shut it. Who knows how dangerous it was to fly with nobody in the freaking towers. I mean, my God almighty. And I got the president sitting there with freaking Vilma breaking down the 2003 Saints. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And chest bumping Vilma. When they got a 75-year-old who's been sitting in Miami International for 3 days. He's got hearing aids. He can't hear the announcements of when his JetBlue flight takes off for Bozeman. I mean, you really got to be. And I got these. Oh my God, it's sickening. Yeah, you can't even. I can't stand it. Like, I should move the hell. I should be. Well, Susan Lucci? Who moved? No, Longoria moved. I should do the same thing. I'll do the show from Madrid. You can hear me every day live. I'll do it live at 9 o'clock at night. Jesus. Oh, my God. 11 in front of the hour. Returning on Mad Dog Unleashed.
Sticks the landing.
Outs.
Yes,
Yeah,
11 in front of the hour is the best part. It's number one in my top 5 things I love from that rant. Susan Lucci being number 2. Yeah.
Who moved? I'll move like her.
You're familiar with all those moves, though, right? All of them, yes.
That was one of the funniest things he's done in a while, because we were watching that Saint game or the Jonathan Vilma game where he was with Trump in the I believe it was the Commander game. Yes. And so him and Jonathan Vilma were breaking down the Saints, and me and him were sitting there dumbfounded, thinking, "What the heck is this guy doing?" And Jonathan Vilma's trying to like give him, doing these little jokes with him, and it's the stupidest in-game interview you've ever heard in your entire life.
Right.
And we're sitting there thinking the American public is in disarray, and we got Trump breaking down how Drew Brees throws a catchable pass to the tight end. It's a waste of time. I completely agree with him.
And meanwhile, there's a 70-something-year-old man with hearing aids who
Miami International
for
3 days. 3 days.
And he picked the perfect city, Bozeman.
Stugotz, the first time we heard that. The first time we heard that, I heard it as somebody who's been a fan of Mad Dog for forever. But after talking to Colin, I hear it as a father of a son, and I could hear him yelling some of these things at you when you're little, like, "You guys, you have to come home on time. The both of yous." Like, I could hear him yelling these things at you.
It's a little Italian father coded when he does. The both of you are wrong. Yeah, go to hell. A little
You're
Italian
out chest
father
bumping
coded.
Rizzo, and me and Mom are up at 3 a.m. Where the fuck are you?
That's a little Italian father coded. You're 100% right. You can see it. You can see it.
It's his finest moment. It really is.
There's something about the airports too. I mean, I'm sure whenever you see him, he always breaks down the travel schedules. I've never seen anybody that's more infatuated with it. I've picked it up a little bit. I get into the travel schedule just because we talk about it a lot.
Sure.
So even with other people, I'm not as bad. I'm not as, anal about it as he is. But I'll give you a story in regard to he's so infatuated with the airports. We were in Burlington, Vermont once, and Burlington, Vermont with the family. I can't remember what we were doing, but we were doing a trip to Stowe, Vermont in the summer. We're walking around Burlington, Vermont. It's a nice hippie town. They got a lake right there. They have an international airport. International airport, his ears perk up. Like, international airport? Well, they got planes there? What type of planes they got coming out of there? So I have to download the plane app. I'm like 14 years old. I'm downloading the plane app, and we're walking around Burlington, Vermont on an outdoor summer day when we should be doing anything else but breaking down the Burlington International, which only has domestic flights, by the way. And that was a big deal.
Right.
Only has domestic flights, breaking down the Burlington International Airport non-stops and what airlines do it. That is the type of thing that he gets a kick out of, because he sees the plane coming in and, he's looking up. What type of plane is that? You see that? Is that United? Like, that's the type of thing he does. Yeah. And I don't know. It's like a little skill he's got, but that's an example I'll give you. The Burlington International Airport, we broke down every single nonstop that the airport's ever had. Yes. And it was a big deal that they didn't go to Canada.
He likes breaking down travel. He likes breaking down schedules. When he asked me to do the Friday picks every Friday at 5 o'clock on his show, he was taking me all the way. He asked me, I was in San Francisco. I was at a Dead show. I'm on a gummy. Your dad calls, and I've learned, listen, when your dad calls, you pick up the fucking phone, okay? I've been waiting for these phone calls my entire life, Colin, okay? And so I picked up the phone. He asked me to do the picks. I said yes. He's telling me how to make picks on the air as if I've never done this before. You got to fill a little time, Stu. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then he starts taking me through the calendar. He goes, listen, Thanksgiving week, this is what we'll do. We'll do it on a Wednesday because you want to get out for the weekend. And I'm thinking to myself, dog, I'm on a gummy in San Francisco at a Teddy show. I ain't worried about Thanksgiving. It's 3.5 months from now. I mean, he's always been like this, though, right? It's crazy. Yeah.
And I'm sure every
Tell him to
time you
relax.
travel anywhere, how'd you get there? What flight did you go to? What time did you fly in? So you did the afternoon instead of the morning? Did you connect anywhere? Oh, they do a connection from right there. Interesting.
Yeah.
Like that. Where'd you sit on the plane? Did you sit up near the front or the back? Like big on that.
Yeah.
Big on that. I've never heard the end of it. I've never heard the end of it.
You're a lucky man, I got to tell you.
To be fair to Dog, it is surprising Burlington doesn't have flights to Montreal. It's less than 100 miles away.
Yep.
I agree. You're 100% right.
I'm skipping a jump.
Only domestic flight. They might have changed it since then, but Burlington International Airport, I remember not a lot of Canada representation. That was a big deal.
You're a big deal. We appreciate you doing this. Next time we have you on, I want to talk sports. No more about your dad. I want to talk sports. Okay, me and you.
I'm happy to talk about it. I know you guys are big fans. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that this is a big surprise to me, and this is a lot of fun. So I appreciate it nonetheless, and looking forward to talking again soon, guys.
All right, Russo and Rizzo, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every day, Monday through Friday, ESPN West Palm. I want to talk about this this collusion in your football, in your Little League basketball. Okay.
We'll do it.
That's all I want to talk about. Next time we have you on the air, that and hot takes, okay?
It's a big problem. It's a big problem. You can't be taking off my best player after we win by 30. You can't be doing that. Not for parity when you have a team in the league. That's not fair. You can't do that. That's not the right thing to do.
Plus, Paul Tiner, he controls your paychecks. I mean, this is bullshit. I'm with you.
And I'm sitting there, guys. The team's looking at me like I'm supposed to do something about my guys. You can fire me tomorrow. I mean, what are we? I'm not playing this game. I'm not going to put my body on the wire for you guys. No offense. I mean, come on.
I side with you. I'll take care of this for you, okay? I'll talk to those guys.
Let them know. Let them know. Thank you.
See you, buddy. Thank you for doing this. Continued success, man. I'm happy for you. You sound like your dad. You look like your dad. You really do.
I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right. Stugotz here. It's NBA tip-off week, and FanDuel is your home for live betting. Listen, support the people that support this show, and no one has supported us more than our friends at FanDuel. So even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.